In October last year, Aston Villa made a decision that changed everything. They sacked Steven Gerrard and appointed Unai Emery in his place, and in the year that's followed, the club have gone from staving off relegation to challenging for a Champions League place. Emery inherited a team languishing in 16th place in the Premier League, dreadfully low on confidence, on goals and on clean sheets. His first act was to beat Manchester United 3-1 at Villa Park, something that had last happened in 1995, and by mid-January it became obvious something really special was happening. Despite only signing one first-team player during the transfer window, Villa won game after game, surged up the table and snuck into 7th, qualifying for Europe in the process. It was remarkable. It was unbelievable. Here is how Emery did it. Emery installed his customary yet slightly curious 4-4-2 shape from the moment he walked through the door at Villa. It's curious because it typically uses central midfielders in the wide roles, then sometimes a winger as a support striker. It pushes players into what you would think would be uncomfortable positions, but then they go on to thrive. A midfield four of Douglas Luiz and Boubacar Kamara in the middle, then Jacob Ramsey and John McGinn on the flanks was settled on pretty quickly. Ramsey and McGinn's defensive work rate covering the fullbacks became very important very fast. They would shift all the way over to the touchline to engage attacking wide men, allowing their fullbacks to sit a little narrower and protect the centre-back. It worked brilliantly, allowing Villa to play excellent reactive football based on a smaller share of possession, then lethal counter-attacks. On New Year's Day, Villa beat Spurs 2-0 away from home using this template, with McGinn and Emi Buendia acing the wide defensive roles. Another thing Emery drilled into Villa was the art of scoring first, a powerful tool when it comes to controlling games and dictating the terms of them. Last season, Villa scored 13 goals in the first 15 minutes of games, the joint most in the league. This was no accident. It was the clear first step in an excellent game plan you could see play out each weekend. Villa would start games fast, feeding striker Ollie Watkins with through balls. If it wasn't him, then Ramsey or Douglas Luiz or someone else would chip in. Once they were ahead, the centre-backs would then stand still with the ball at their feet at the back, baiting a press from the opponent that they could then play around and through, creating what has become called artificial transitions, which just means creating as much space as you'd usually find on a counter-attack, except it's not actually a counter-attack because you have the ball. Often it would be Konsa stood on the ball, who when pressed would then pass sideways to Mings, who immediately passed forward to Ramsey or the attacking midfielder. The opponent's pressing would create lanes for these passes to go through. Now this doesn't work if you're losing, or in some cases drawing. The opponent has to need to come and hunt for the ball, which is always the case if they're a goal down. This method helped achieve some big wins down the stretch against notable opponents like Newcastle, Brighton and Tottenham. These tactics helped Villa sneak into Europe on the final day of the season, with Emery getting the absolute maximum out of a set of players he inherited, plus one signing in left-back Alex Moreno, who proved key on the flank. That meant this summer was his chance to make the wholesale changes he wanted, and in Pau Torres and Moussa Diaby, two big transfer splashes were made that altered the nature of this team. Torres is one of the best progressive passing centre-backs in Europe. Pick any passing metric you want and he shines in it, while he's also a superb carrier of the ball out of the back. His comfort on the ball has allowed Villa to become a more dominant possession team. Diaby is an electric forward who has added pace to the front line, plus 3 goals and 3 assists early on. Bundesliga forwards have often struggled to adapt to the Premier League, but Diaby has had no problems, already making a huge difference to the team. Adding those players to much improved, coached-up figures like Ollie Watkins, Douglas Luiz, Ezri Konsa and more has made Villa a formidable team. And thanks to one more tactical tweak from Emery this season, they've now settled on a superb tactical template to work out of. When Villa are on the ball, they now shift from 4-4-2 to 3-5-2. Kamara drops out of the midfield and moves to right centre-back, creating a back three look alongside Konsa and Torres. The fullbacks shift up to wing-back, while the wide midfielders tuck in next to Luiz. Diaby and Watkins remain up front and central. This has helped Villa deal with critical injuries early this season. They started off without their entire left side of Ramsey and Moreno, and the eve of the season they lost Buendia to a torn ACL, and Tyrone Mings did the very same injury in the very first game. Despite this, Emery has been able to adapt and thrive, continuing Villa's astounding home winning run in the Premier League, which now stands at 13 straight victories. In fact, a calendar year table would have Villa sat in third place with 68 points won from 34 games. They're behind Arsenal only on goal difference, then Man City are a notch above. No wonder Villa fans, and neutrals alike, are getting excited about this team's chances of finishing in the top 4 or winning silverware, or perhaps even both.